You have the floor now.
Hi, good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, good evening, all over the world. Mr. Smart, thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much, sir.
Good afternoon. I'm excited to be here also, uh, and it's good to be to be on this webinar session again with us today. All right, so just like Mr. Smart has indicated earlier, please let me know when you can see my screen. All right.
Yes, I can see your screen.
Perfect, perfect. So we're talking about connecting Power Virtual Agent to external APIs. In Microsoft, we call those kind of things connectors, thereabout. So that's what we're talking about today. So you would want to understand uh, what are we talking about here? What is Power Virtual Agent? What are external APIs? What are we talking about really here? Why do I want to do that and all that? So those kind of questions is what we would have in our minds to want to have answers to, right? So basically, I'm sure that for as many people that has been following our webinar series, you'll have seen that we've done quite some trainings and all that in the regard of power platform, right? Power apps, Power Automate, Power Virtual Agents, and Power BI. So these four set of infrastructural solutions are what Microsoft has built under a single supply chain called Power Platform. So if you've heard of a Power Platform, then you will understand that Power Platform comprises of Power Apps, which helps in application development, comprises of Power BI. Power BI definitely gives more, ease in terms of building visuals, reports, dashboard, especially for organization in terms of analysis, predictions, prescriptions, and foresight and forecast and the likes. And then we have Power Automate, which is, I think, my favorite part of the Power Platform ecosystem. Power Automate in the sense of building automations, right? In terms of automating your processes. So, and the thing is, Power Apps, Power Virtual Agent, and Power BI have more like a sitting around Power Automate, because definitely we have to do what we call automations, right, for all these things. So if you've heard of Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, you've been wondering what are these set of solutions. So they are business applications that aids in the robust automation of business processes and all that. So one of them is the Power Virtual Agent, and then the Power Virtual Agent is more of a bot kind of solution. So in terms of having, especially for people in customer service, you would understand when we have somebody interacting, or users, so to say now, interacting with our system, right? And then when users are interacting with our system, users maybe want to have a frontline action. Users are able to perform actions even without talking to an agent, even without having to authenticate into our system, right? So that those kind of actions are the things that we do with Power Virtual Agent. So we're bypassing the normal step of having to write an AI code, right, to having already the code wrapped as a function entity called Power Virtual Agent that we can then use, right? So that's why we're doing this. So today, this is going to be my agenda, because I won't be talking too much on the slide, so that we can do much more in terms of demo, right? Because we're going to be doing about three things, and it can take a bit of our time. So it would be nice that I really take time showing us more than talking to us, right? So we'll be looking at APIs and then connectors, right? So like I said earlier, we have the Power Platform, and the Power Platform has what we call connectors. So for example, we all understand that for a system to talk to another system, something is happening, whether we are seeing what is happening or not, or something is happening behind the screen. So for example, we all use say Facebook, for example, right? I'm trying to probably send a message to another person on Facebook. that connection line. That connection line means there's a talkback kind of in that kind of communication, and that means that what there's something that is facilitating that kind of communication. In technology, definitely we call it what APIs or connection services, web services. So those are the things that facilitate communication. So in Microsoft or in the Power Platform supply chain system of Microsoft, now in terms of communicating with external application, external sources, maybe that are not native to Microsoft, we use what we call connectors. For example, I am on Microsoft Power Platform or Power Apps or whatever, and I'm trying to talk to, say, an email system. I want to send an email from my Microsoft system, from my Power Apps, from my Power Automate. Then I need to send an email. That email action that I'm trying to do is a talkback. I'm trying to talk to a system somewhere, right? I'm trying to use layman languages for us so that we understand what I'm saying. So I'm trying to talk to a system. So the point of me talking to a system, Microsoft has wrapped those API or those endpoint connection as connectors. So when we hear the word connectors, we are talking about just having to speak, whether write in terms of sending data or reading data from somewhere. All right, so that's we'll be talking about that also, and then we'll look at automation itself. What kind of automations are we doing? How do we automate to get our bot to understand? And then finally, I'm going to be talking about showing us also about bot creation and then how we can then connect to the automation we have made. Right. All right. So I'll be doing much of my talk while I do the demo. All right. So I'm just going to delve straight into my demo because it's going to take a bit of time. So just follow me, everybody. Sit back, get a cup of coffee or tea or juice, whatever, and just relax and let's go. And I'll try and make it very, very easy so that we can follow through with what I'm doing. So I'm going to be sharing my screen just right about now. I'll be changing my screen from the slide to my browser. All right, just a minute, everyone. So I'm stop sharing, and I'm going to reshare a different screen. Just a moment. Okay, screen coming up right about now. All right. So I believe everybody can see my Microsoft Edge on their screen currently. Yeah.
Yes.
All right, good. Okay, good. So what you're seeing on my screen is the Power Apps environment, right? Like I said earlier, we have what we call the Power Platform system, right? So one of them is Power Apps, right? This interface we're seeing is the Power Apps interface. I'm just going to go to a new tab and show us a different. If I do flow.microsoft.com, what we'll be seeing another interface for this is another interface for one of those ecosystems. So there are 4 in the ecosystem of Power Platform, right? So this is one called Power Apps, second called Power Automate, and then the third one is called we have Power BI. So you can just type that in Google. I have those URL in my head. So powerbi.microsoft. So this is Power BI, and then we have the 4th one in this same system called Power Virtual Agent. I'm sure most people have heard of the first 3 and little of this last one. So yeah. So today, in case somebody asks, what is Power Platform? You can tell them, oh, Power Platform is definitely a suite of solutions, right? And then these are the 4 solutions we have in Power Platform. All right. So what we want to do today is actually connecting. So I have a bot and I want the bot to talk to an external system, right? Or I am a developer. I have a website. My organization have a SaaS solution. We have a web application. We want that web application to talk to be connected to a bot. When somebody hits our website, let them be able to just communicate with a bot, using a bot to communicate and return an information thereabout. It could not be a bot in this case. It could be you're working with maybe a Power Automate, for example. You're trying to create an automation here, and then you are saying that what I want to do, I can't find it in the list of the connectors Microsoft has, right? If you look at my screen, these are connectors. SharePoint is a connector of it. This is a connector. OneDrive is a connector. Twitter is a connector. Dropbox is a connector. So these are all connectors. In the literal sense, they are all APIs, right? They are all APIs. So normally, these are the things that we would have probably opened a Visual Studio Code and then start writing our code and all that, right? But Microsoft have wrapped some of them, most of them. I think about 300 thereabout, yeah, API connectors that we have. So you can say 300 APIs, so to say, right? Something like that. However, so what we want to do is, what if what I want to do is not part of all these things, right? And I have my own system that I want to expose. So we have what we call custom connector. So it makes sense when I say that there are standard or predefined connectors, and then definitely there are standard and predefined connectors, then there should be something called custom connector, in the sense of, what if I want to build my own connector from scratch? You understand? I don't want to follow the predefined connector that you have. I just want to do my own from scratch. So the first thing we would want to do definitely then would be to then build a custom connector, in terms of to allow us to speak to external systems, right? Now, I'm going to be doing a lot of things, all right? So because of that, there's something I like to do a lot. When I'm going to be doing so many things, for people that are used to this system, if I am going to be doing things like I'm building in this for a single solution, I'm going to be doing an automation. I'm building a bot. Probably I'm going to be doing a table or an entity for a database. I like to package them in what we call a solution. So I won't be, so that they won't be scattered all over. So the first thing I want to do is, you see where I came into my Power Apps, right? And I went to solution. If you look at Power Automate here, you can see that there's solution here also, right? So I can do the same thing. I'll come into solution. I click on solution. So I want to create a solution. This time around, the sample I want to be doing is, let's see how we can connect to a music infrastructure. So in this case, let's say Spotify. I'm sure we all know Spotify, right? So let's say we want to connect to Spotify. And if you check here, for example, let me see connections, so that you know, so that you can prove me wrong if I'm wrong in anything. So these are list of connectors that we have. Let's type Spotify and be sure whether Microsoft has Spotify. So you see that what Microsoft does not have Spotify yet. This is Spotify independent publisher. This is a publisher for Microsoft, not the original Spotify that we all know. This is Spotify normally that we hear music from, right? So Microsoft currently does not have a connector to Spotify. So what I want to do is, I want to talk to Spotify right now, right? And because I want to do that, I want to create a connection to Spotify. I want to consume Spotify's API. Great stuff, right? So let's go. So the first thing I said I would do is create what? A solution. So let's create a solution. Let's call it music bot. So since it's a bot, right? So let's call it music bot. And then I want to select a publisher. So when you hear the word publisher, what does it mean? Like I said, it's a solution. So when I'm packaging a solution and deploying to an organization, for me to, if there's an error, a bug or something, and I need to roll back, I'll be able to, so rolling back will be dependent on publishing versions, right? So that's why we have publishers, what database is it sitting on, those kind of things. So in this case, we have predefined ones already, but I like to create a new one. I'm just going to give it, say, music bot, something like that. Yeah, music bot. And then just going to give it a schema name, music bot. Don't worry, all these ones are yeah, music bot. I want to give it an MB. And I'm just give it something. What's today's date? 30th, 09 and 2. That's fine. All right. So yeah, if you look here now, I'm just gonna do a while. Yeah. So you see that our music bot publisher is here. So I want that to be where my solution is sitting on. So I'm going to create my solution. All right. So the next thing I want to do in this case is let me open the solution up. So when I open the solution up, I can now carry out some actions inside the solution. If I click on new here, see I can create apps, I can create automations, I can create chatbots, dashboards, quite a lot of things. So the things I showed us earlier, now I can do them in here currently. So that's what we're seeing on my screen. But before I create any of those things, I need to first make a connection to Spotify, right? Because without that, we can't do anything, right? So the first thing is, let me go to Spotify. My account is logged in already on Spotify, so that's fine. Then I want to go to account. So there's something we call apps, right? There's something we call apps. So apps is where you see the connections you have made. You can see that I have made a connection previously using Power Automate, right? So apps is this is where we get to create a connection between wherever we're coming from and then what we want to connect to in this case. So we get to do that here in apps. And then we have another one called developers environment. So this is developers environment where you can see things like web API and all that. So everything we need to authenticate, we can see here. All right, so I'm going to go to dashboard. Right, just a minute. So it's asking for me to log in. So great. So it's logged in. So you can see that I have an app here. So why am I creating an app? I'm creating an app because to authenticate to this, I need to generate things like client ID, client secret, and all that. So we need to create an app first. So for example, when you have a SaaS solution in your organization and you want other people to consume that application, then we need to expose our application's API to the public or make it open so that people can then authenticate through our application. So that's what Spotify has done here. They've exposed their API for developers, for us to use. So in this case, we want to create a new app, right? And I'm going to give it say virtual agents. Right. I can just copy the same thing, paste it here. All right, I understand, create. So I'm going to drop this screen so that nobody copies out my details. It's very important for me. All right, so I'm going to do that. And I'll be deleting this after. So it's data privacy is important. All right, so I'm just copy that out because we'll be reusing that very soon. And then the secrets, just gonna copy that. Okay, perfect. So let's move away. So we can see that there are two different places I've gone to. This is our normal Spotify, right? Where we listen to music and all that. So this is normal Spotify. If I go back, let's go back the screen to let's see. All right, fine. So that is done. So I want to go back to Power Automate now. So I've created my ID and secret and all that. So the first thing we want to do, or the next thing we want to do now in Power Automate, is to create a custom connector, right? Create a custom connector. All right. So this is where we create a custom connector in Power Platform. Now, like I've explained earlier, custom connector is how we then consume external APIs, right? When you're trying to talk to an external system, you have to create custom connector to authenticate to that system. All right. So in creating the custom connector, we need to have an handshake between the Power Platform and then that external API. So in this case, we understand that now. What is our native instance, Power Platform? What are we trying to talk to? Spotify. So we understand now, and we have seen that Microsoft does not have Spotify as a standard or pre-built connector. So we are trying to authenticate to it. So the first thing is we can leave all this. Is we want to authenticate to it. So we need to get an host. So for developers, we would understand that this is what we do normally, right? When we're trying to set up APIs and all that, we authenticate via these kind of methods, right? So in this case, so to get all this information, so there are so many informations we need to get from Spotify. To get them, if I go back to Spotify, I'm just going to let's go to docs. Let me open this in the new tab. So So people might be asking, where are we getting this information from? So some of the information that will be imputing on the custom connector, you can find them here. So most times, if any organization has built any application, any solution, and they have exposed the API, definitely documentations are then created, right? So you can see the documentations here about Spotify. So everything we need are literally here. If I go to reference, we're able to get everything we need, right, from the from Spotify. All right, so but I know some of them already. For example, the host name for Spotify is it's api.spotify.com. Yeah, exactly. So we'll leave the root URL to be it. So we see that what we've done is we've just imputed the normal information here. So the next thing we want to now do is configure security. And then if we understand what security is, we have things like basic authentication. That's when you're authenticating with your username and password. We have what we call API keys. That's when you're using things like OpenID Connect. So you have systems that will just give you API keys, right, to use in authenticating to a system. But for Spotify uses the Open Authentication 2.0, right? So this is more like an authorization system. So it just authorizes my, so what it's going to do is authorize my account into Spotify. That's what it wants to do. So give that handshake between my Microsoft account and then my Spotify account, so that I will be able to get information from my Spotify to my Microsoft account. So I want to do this authentication. We'll wait for it. So watch this. If I click here and you go down, there's Spotify here, but please don't select Spotify in case you are doing this and you want to try it out, because there's a bug in this currently. So don't select this, just leave it at what it is currently. So the next thing we want to add is add our client ID, add our client secret, right? Remember we copied that earlier on Spotify when we created an app. So you see the process now. We have to go to Spotify first, create an app. Creating that app means we are saying that what this is my handshake portfolio on Spotify. And then Spotify did what? Gave us an ID, gave us a secret, so that we can use on our own system. So you won't be able to get anything from that Spotify without having the ID and the secret. If you're using API key, this source itself must also give you their API key. That's how you do authentication. So in this case, we have our ID already. So I'm just going to paste the ID that we copied earlier. Paste. Good stuff. And the next thing we want to do is copy our secret. We'll paste it here. Good stuff. So see, most platforms must have this. They have this set of setup. Most platform. So the next thing we need is our authorization URL. So how do we authorize into Spotify? Like I said, those systems have those things already. So if you go to the documentation, you get to see them. So this is the one for Spotify. And then the next thing is asking for a token URL. So also it's also an authorization method. So what happens is token records your sessions, right? So when you log into a system and all that, after some minutes, it refreshes your token, all for security reasons, right? To prevent things like hacking and people overriding your system. So most times your token URL and your refresh URL are almost the same thing. All right, and then so the next thing we need is scope. So in scope is if I am authenticating to that system, what actions do I want to do on that system? I'm going to show us something. Let's go back to Spotify. So you can see, for example, we are here. Let me click on one of these APIs. So let's say I click on player API, for example. Let's do try it yourself. Watch this now, everyone. See, I'm here already, right? If I click on let me say view sample data and then try it, get token. Good. So you can see now these are scopes. So these are scopes that in terms of the actions that we can perform, right? So these are scopes. So you can just come here and then check and request for token. You get the token and then you go and pass it on your own system, right? So for us in this case, I already did that. I generated some tokens and I'm going to pass that in our custom connector. All right, so let's go back to custom connector and I'm going to set the scope. So you can see all the scopes I'm setting here. Things like user can read, playback state, collaborative. So quite a lot of them I'm passing here already. These are scopes, and You saw where I just went to on Spotify to generate that, right? So for redirect URL, this is what we call callback URL. So this is what actually determines handshake. Notice that what I'm doing now is I'm passing information from Spotify to Power Automate. Now, when I save this, Power Automate gives me a redirect URL that I have to take back to Spotify, and that is what completes the handshake between both systems. Awesome stuff. So I'm going to create this connector now. Watch. Immediately I create it, we'll see what happens. Click on create. No. Oh, connector name. Oh yeah. So I need to give this connector a name. What name do we give this? Say Spotify. Yeah, Spotify API, something like that. So let's create. Okay. Just wait for it. Let's go. Okay. Pardon. So what it's doing is okay, good. So connector is successfully created. So you can see that now we have a redirect URL that has been given to us by Microsoft. So what you want to now do is just copy this. So you copy that, you go back to Spotify. Yeah, where is that? Okay, good. Then you want to edit your app, right? So when you edit, you see where you have redirect URI. So you just paste that here, and then you add, and then you then save. So what you have done now, you see the data for your app virtual agent has now been saved. What we have done now is we've just done a proper handshake between both systems. Proper handshake is done between both systems. So the next thing we now want to do is definitions. So definitions is what, right? There's something we call trigger and action. If A happens, B and C should happen. If C happens, D and F should happen. So we need to set actions that we want to perform. And now those actions we want to perform are based on what the scopes that we've already set earlier, right? So say one of the actions I want to perform now is I want to say play music, something like that. Let's do play music. Just put the same thing here, play music. And then I want to set the operation ID to play music. Perfect. Now, how do I then authenticate this? Let's go back to Spotify. I'm just going to show us something. Let's look for player API. Let's look at it. You can see the scopes that we have. So this is one of them. It says start and a user. So let's go here. Let's check this out. So you can see I have this. Can you see the endpoint here? So I want to copy this endpoint. Copy, and then I want to go back to Power Automate and then import that sample. And then don't forget, let's go back. We have something, let's check what the API method is. Can you see the method? It says put, right? So in Power Automate or in our connector creation, I'm going to pass that endpoint. See, can you see the host name, the version, myself who is authenticating, is getting the player, and then it's going to play the music or perform a play action, and then we are using that put import. So that is done. Then let's add another one, and let's call it say pause. Yeah. Let's say pause music, something like that. Pause my music. Yeah. Then pause. Beautiful. All right. So we want to use the same. So I'm just going to do the same thing. So I'm just going to change this to pause. So if we go back, so I've done this a couple of times, so I know some of them in my head. But if you go back here, we can see pause a user's playback, right? If you check it, let's check it. You see, it's the same thing, right? That we have, and it's a put action also. So we'll just do that. Select your method, pass your URL, and then import. So let's add one more action, right? And let's call it, okay, I want to get current song, something like that. Get current song. Yeah, I'm just gonna do this. Okay. Get current song. Good stuff. All right. So let's go back to Let's go back here, and then let's look for player thing. Okay, so you see this, get the user's current playing track. Let's pick this, get the user's current playing track. Okay, let's get this, copy. Let's go back to Power Automate. Let's do this, and then you want to paste this, and then in this case the method is get, I believe. Let's check, let's confirm that. Get, beautiful, beautiful. All right, so we import. Okay, so all we've done is we've set a bit some actions, right? We could do more depending on what you're trying to perform, but because of time, let's just deal with these three. So after we've done this, right, let me just update the connector. So it's very important when we're building things like this that we are conversant with actions like update, delete, and all those things. So we are conversant with it. Just let me update the connector, and I'm going to show something once it's not okay. So I want to check this Swagger editor for developers on the call. You understand some things. So you can see that what the actions we have done, for example, get player and pause. You see that it's a put action, and we can see the response that it's expecting. We have get current players. We can see the action that it's expecting. So we can see that what we can see the Swagger document for the things we've set, the old authentication, everything is here. So we can see, and we can perform our test here. However, let's go forward and perform a test, for example. So I'm going to go back to Spotify. Let me go back to my Spotify, and then let's eat some. I will reshare my screen so that I can share my audio. So any music I'm playing, we can hear, because I will be playing music so that we test. Let's perform a test. So please enjoy the music that we hear me play. All right, so let me reshare my screen so that I can share with audio. Okay, and then okay, I'm just going to stop this. Okay, let me reshare, impute computer audio. All right, beautiful. All right, so I believe you can see my Spotify right currently. So let's do one test. For example, let's go back to Power Automate, and then move forward to test. Good. So the first thing is, let me authenticate. I need to authenticate my account, and look at the interesting thing. Very smart application. You already saw that this is me, right? Because why does Spotify recognize this? Because I have already created this app on Spotify. So in authenticating the system together, it was seamless, very seamless. So I'm just going to agree, because I created the app, so I trust my app. And you can see that we have the Spotify API here already. Good. All right. So the next thing I want to do, I'm just going to update it again. Update. So once it's done updating, then it will be able to give us yeah, exactly. So now we can test. So you see that these are the actions I created, right? Play music, pause music, and then get current music. So for example, let's test this out to play music. So I'm just going to test operation, and then let's see, there's an error, player command failed, no active device found. Okay, let's go back to definition. Let's go back to definition, and then let's see what the issue is. Play music, yeah, play music. Okay. All right, so let's check our endpoint again. Put import. Okay. So that's fine. Let's check the other one. Pause music. Let's check. Players. Pause. Okay, that's fine. And let's get current song. All right, so let's update. So I'm going to do something. I'll play music now, and then we'll test to see if it returns the current song. So just take a minute. All right, good. So let's go back to test. I'll go to Spotify and then I'll play a song.
I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. My future.
Let's check. So you see that I just played the music and then I did get current song. So let's check the output, the response. So you can see from the response that the name of the artist was returned. And then if you check Spotify, what was the artist's name? James Fortune. If we go back, let's see what the title of the song is. I'm just going to scroll down. Okay, can you see the name of the song? I think I saw the album itself. Yeah, so yeah, the album, that's the album name. And then what else? What other information can we see? I'm just gonna go down. Yeah, we can see the track number 2. What else? So we can see that some of the informations were returned. All the informations we can see, Dear Future Me, and then the artist name was returned on our API. So now we can confidently say that we are talking to. Let's test this to see.
Future is calling. My future is calling. I gotta go. I can't stay here no more.
Music is paused. Let's click here again and let's test.
I can't stay here no more. Gotta go.
Let me pause this music from here now. Okay, good. So we can see now that we can actually perform action on Spotify from inside Power Automate. So I don't have to go to Spotify, and then from here I can say just play music, and then it's playing the music, and then I can pause the music from here. So we're good from this point. Let me pause the music because the music playing. Pause. Okay, good. So the next thing we now want to do is we've been able to do that connection and then talk to each other. The next thing we want to do is we want to create an automation, and then the automation I want to create is how we then talk to our bot when we create our bot, right? So we go to Power Automate right now, and then we create a very straightforward automation. So like I said, I am working inside a solution. So this is the solution I am working currently. So you can see my API is here. Then the next thing we want to do is create what we call a cloud flow. So let's do an instant one. Let's do this. Let's keep. So there's something we call trigger and action. We saw that when we're creating our custom connector, we had to do and set some actions, right? Beautiful thing. So also in Power Automate, we do the same thing. We have triggers, we have action. In this case, what do we want to trigger our Spotify, or what do we want to trigger our flow? Power virtual agent, right? Our bot. So let's do this first. So we're going to select this as our trigger action, Power virtual agent. So it depends on what you want to do. You can add some input. Maybe you want to use specific text statement. You want to pass a Boolean action, depending. But in my case, I'm not doing anything. Now, this is the interesting thing, everyone. I just created the connector right now. These are all Microsoft connectors. Microsoft has standard connectors, premium connectors, and other. But I have created mine. So if I click on custom, beautiful, you can see my API is here now. My custom connector is here. So I can confidently say that I'm part of the connector development team, right? I've built mine also. So if I click on this, you see, can you see the schemas? So these are the things these are the metadata on my connector. I have get current song, play music, pause music. Those are the things I created. So we can see them live here currently. So that makes sense, right? So you can see that if you want 100 things, 10 things, you can do that. I like to do this a lot because so that if anybody authenticates into my Spotify without my knowledge, I have a flow running for it already. It will just email me that I would then know that something is wrong with my Spotify account. You see those kind of things, right? So let's just do a simple test. Let's say get current song. Let's sign in, authenticate in. All right. Good. So now our connector is live in our automation. So the next thing I want to do is I want to initialize a variable. So what I'm trying to just do here is I want to pass some of the values from this action into a variable, wrap the variable together, split the variable into use the variable to split the okay, let me explain. So if you look at this, we have so many actions. If I do get current song here, we can see that there are so many things here, and that's too much. And then in a literal sense, it's vague, right? So what I want to do here is use this variable to hold the information from here and then split it into pieces so that I can pick what exactly it is I require in this case. So the first thing I want to do is I want to call it a name. Let's say current song, right? Current song, and then I want to pass it as a string. And then the next thing is let's split it into pieces, right? So let's split, and then we use what we call pass JSON. So for us to know all these things on Power Automate, we can check Power Automate documentations and all that. So I want to get the response body, right? So I'm getting the body from this get current song. Awesome. And then I need the schema to use here. Now the schema to use here we can find on the documentation here also. So if you go down, just scroll around the documentation where we have where's that? Okay, here. Yeah, so if you scroll up here, you can see these are the schemas to be used. So all you just want to do is just copy the schema, go back to Power Automate here, and then click on generate schema and paste. All right, you want to click on done. Good. So after we have done this, then the next thing we want to do is split them and pick what we actually need, right? So in my case, let me just pick a few things I need, do an apply to each. Let me pass the, say, artist here. Let me pass the artist. Okay. And then after I want to do, I want to set my variable, right? So I have passed the variable, I've splitted. Then let's now set it so that we can actually use it. So look for set variable. Perfect. You would see now that my what I initiate here is here. I pick that up, and then I can pick the name of, okay, name. All right. So in this case, I think there are about 2 names here. So we might not be able to know if it's the name of the for now. But when we're about to test, we'll be able to see what name exactly we are picking up in that place, right? So I've done that. I've picked some of the information I need. The next thing I now want to do is I want to send this information back to my bot. And then what I want to now do is I want to say what I actually want is say get let me say, for example, I want to get artist. So I'm hoping that the name I selected above is the one for the artist. All right, and then pick the variable we set earlier, and then that's it. So you can see what we did. This will be triggered by Power Virtual Agents. Get the current song from Spotify with our connector that we created. Get the body of this, right? Split it into pieces. You see the body here, split it into pieces, and then what we'll now do is get the artist from this, get the name of the artist on the current song, and then return it back to our bot. So that is done. Then the last thing we now want to do is to create the bot itself. All right. So we're going to go and create our bot itself. So the first thing we want to do is let's go back to solutions. Like I said, I'm going to duplicate this. I like to work in solutions because so that when you're deploying to production, UAT and all that, you have a bundled application and not scattered. So you can see that our solution again, we open it up. And then we can see that I didn't name the flow. Yeah, that's bad. Let's go back and let's give the flow a name. It's called the flow. What name should we call it now? Let's say get current song. Since that's what we're doing, let's say get current song. All right, so let's save. All right, good. So we have saved that. Let's go back to, let's refresh this so that the name can be affected. Okay, open music bot again. Good. So we have get current song. So we can see that what in a single solution called music bot, I have my API, I have my flow. The next thing I want to have here or create is my bot itself. So we are going to click on that, and then it opens up the bot for us. Good. So let's give the bot a name, called it music bot. So this is in creating a bot also, we'll see something similar, right? Let's pick an language, English language, environment is fine. And then I want to create, okay, it's working on the bot. So what it's doing currently is it's provisioning our bot. So while it's provisioning the bot, there are things we must understand in bot creation. Things like we have what we call topics, we have what we call entities. So entities is our database where our responses are then saved to, right? So this is our simple bot interface from Power Virtual Agent. You can see we have topics. So topics is where we create what kind of bot communication are we going to be having, right? So that's where we create that. We have entities. Entities is where we then set maybe databases or table that is going to host or hold our bot information, right? We have analytics, publishing and everything in case you want to publish your bot and all that. So when it's done provisioning, let's wait for it. Let's wait for it. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, that's done. Okay, 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute. Yeah, it's done. So for my own test, I want to create something. I want to create an entity, a custom entity, rather than using the ones that they have. And you see that we have a lot of them, but I want to create a custom entity. So I'm just going to do this. Let me use closed. I'm just going to give my entity something like music or better name. Thinking of a better name to use. Okay, let's say types of music, something like that. Yeah, types of music. So we can then add it. We can say maybe album. I'm going to add that artist. Let's say the last one can be playlist. Yeah, something like that. Then let's add and then let's save. Let's save. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, good. So that's done. Now let's go and create what we need. So like I said, we create topic. That's the first thing. So when you click on this, in this case, we want to call this topic, say listen to music. Yeah, listen to music. We can leave all these fields. Then we have to create trigger faces. Trigger faces will be what people would impute and then what the bot would then respond to, right? We can create as many as possible. We can say get artist, something like that. So just create multiple ones. And then after you're done with this, you want to go to authoring canvas. What is authoring canvas? Authoring canvas is where we then create how the communication will go, right? How the communication will go. As we all know, bot is about communications, right? So the first thing is, you can see now my triggers are here. So I'm going to delete this. I don't need this for now. What I want to now do is put a question. You can see the actions here. Very interesting thing to do. So the question will be, I want to ask the person, when the person selects any of these three, my response would be, what would you like to listen to? Or yeah, something like, what would you like to listen to? Something like that. Or what would you like to do? Something like that. I can do that. And then in this case, you see, I can see responses. These are all data types, right, of responses. But don't forget, I created one earlier called types of music. So when you select type of music, then the next thing is you want to store them, because that's how we have to store our actions. Say stop. Let me just give it this name. Okay, that's perfect. And then after doing that, so if person selects this, I ask this question, then the next thing is I want to create a condition around this, right? So the condition is if you if what you selected here equals to, say, artist, yeah. If it equals to artist, what do I want to happen? If it equals to artist, I want it to then get you the current song. Don't forget we created a flow. Watch. Now we are connecting to the flow. We are connecting to our API that we have created now. Can you see that it's here already? Beautiful thing. Our API is in here now. That is our bot trying to talk to our API. So I click on it, right? And then you can see it gets current artist. And then I want to return an information back to the user and say, I found something. What did I find? What did I find? I found your current artist. Found current artist playing. Something like that. I'm just going to stop on that. We can add other conditions also to it, but we'll stop on other conditions. And then let's save. Let's save. So what I've done here, you can do many other things. You can can have other conditions, speak to other things. But what I've done here is we've created a connection to Spotify, we've created an automation, and then we now want our bot to speak to it. Let's see whether what we have done works or not. All right, let's do. So I'm on your website currently. I just got to your website. If everybody can look at my screen currently, this left hand side. So imagine I'm on your website and I'm like, okay, get artist, for example, and I send it in. Okay, good. You see that there's an error, right? Because it's not mirroring what I have written here. So we're going to change that to get and then artist. Let's see whether this works now. Still an error, which is fine. And then let's do something like music. Okay, good. So when I did music, it says, what would you like to do? And then my okay, so yeah, there's something missing that I missed. I didn't select the options for them. So let's select the option. I missed this. I didn't select the options for the user. So if it's equals to, yeah, artist, yeah, good. So let's save this again. So I missed that option. Okay, good. So I'm going to test this again. Good. Let's refresh and then let's start again. So music. So you see that, what would you like to do? I said I would like to get artist, for example, right? If I select artist, so the next thing is there's an error, right? Because there is no song playing currently. So let me go back to Spotify, play a song, and then come and have that conversation again. And let's see. So I'm playing a song. Let's go back and have that conversation. Let's refresh this, and let's have that conversation again. Music. Okay.
Still can't believe it. So many blessings. Even when I get reckless, Lord, you keep on blessing me.
Let's pause the music. Let's go back to our powervirtualagent and let's see what is going on with the condition.
Hello, can you hear me?
Okay, so let's add one or two conditions also. Select the variable, music type equals to album. Let's add one more and do let's see, add a condition. Just going to close this, equals to playlist, right? Okay, and then let's save this. All right, so let's check our flow now. If this equals to this, get our current song, get the current artist, and then get the current artist that is playing. Let's go check our flow. All right, save our flow. Yeah, do this. Okay, good. So I'm just going to open the flow up. Where's the flow now? Let's filter. Okay, this is our flow here. Oh, okay, good. So you see that there's a failure here. So we'll check what our error was. Okay. Oh, our time is gone. So let's just perform the test and then we can send in questions. So what we've done so far is we've been able to create, our connections, create our automations, and then connect our bot to the set action, right? So what we want to check here is see what the error is in this case. All right. Okay. Okay, get correct song. In this case, let's do artists. Okay, let's do artist. All right. Okay, I'm just gonna save this. Okay, let's go back again. First, okay, let's play a song. Just a minute. Okay. Just a minute. Just gonna reshare my screen. Okay. So we're just gonna play. Let's do this. Music. Let's do artist. All right. So we see that he found James Fortune playing the music in this case. So we can see that from what we can see on my screen, is able to determine who is playing the music currently, the current artist playing. So, and then if we check on our flow is on our Spotify currently, we're playing a song from James Fortune, the artist. So what have we done? We've been able to bring an action from our external system called Spotify, connect to Power Automate, and then use that action to then communicate on board. So somebody who is interfacing with our bot system is then able to do what? To know what is happening on Spotify. So in case we're working with other systems, irrespective of which other systems we're working with, we can then, all we just need to do is, the first thing like I did earlier, is understand how to create that connection. So once you can create the connection, like we did on custom connector, then you can then create your bot, connect your bot to Power Automate system, and then you are able to then carry out the set actions. All right, so I'm just going to stop here today, and I believe that we might have questions that would want to ask me in terms of, probably in terms of how to create custom connector, the automation I did, or in terms of the bot creation itself, and I will be glad to provide answers to them. So especially for developers that probably have APIs that they want to leverage on the Power Platform system. All right, if there are questions, we can drop the questions currently. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Smart. Thank you, everyone.
All right, you agree with me that this session is one of a kind. I mean, that's why I call Mr. AY Boss. Thank you so very much. What a wonderful lecture. In fact, I enjoyed your music. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. All right. So, if you have any question, please kindly drop them in the chat box. And if you want to ask the question, you can simply raise up your hand, and then I will call you so that you can unmute your mic and then ask your question. So, we'll be waiting for you. While we are waiting for questions, if you have questions, please can unmute and ask your question. Do we have anyone? Question? All right. So it seems as if there are no questions. Okay. Let's just wait. Maybe less than a minute. I'm very, very sorry. Let's just wait for less than a minute. All right. Great. Someone has raised up. Please, Mr. Didayo or Madam Adidayo, please unmute your mic and ask a question.
Okay, Mr. Adedayo, well, thank you so much. I wanted to ask, so you know how Microsoft charges for services you run? I just wanted to ask if there are, what kind of costs are attached to, using these services when it comes to the Power Apps, the flow and all of that. At what point do they charge from the onset, or is it after use for a while? How does that work?
All right. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Adidaya, for the question. All right. So basically, from what I did, right, we have one of the things I did was build a custom connector, right? I think I didn't explain that when I started that we have, so to say, two kinds of connector actions on Microsoft. We have the standard connectors and the premium connectors. All right. So if you're working with applications that has to do with the standard connector, so if you check the connectors documentation, which we can drop on this chart for you to read, you will see the standard connectors. So if you are building applications or automations that require standard connections, you can easily leverage on your existing, say, Microsoft 365 license for that. However, when it comes to premium connectors, just like the one I did, which is a custom connector, which is a premium action, then you would require to have a standalone license for the Power Platform, whether the Power App standalone license, to be able to carry out that set of action. Also for the bot creation itself, the Power Virtual Agent itself, yes, you could try out. You have you could see that when I was presenting, mine showed me that I should extend my trial because I was also on the trial. But you could try out for a while, and then you could reach out to us here at Ha-Shem in terms of delivering what the proper costing is for you, and we'll be glad to also send that to you. But definitely they all have their own licensing model and all that when we're trying to leverage them individually. For the bot, for the Power Virtual Agent for bot creation, yes, he does have his own licensing model. For building custom connector on Power Apps or Power Automate, it does have its own licensing model also. However, you could try out first to check out the app, build your processes, be sure that you're fine with what you've built, you've connected to your external sources and all that, and then you can then reach out and we'll be glad to do to help you in terms of provisioning of licensing and all that. Do you understand me, sir?
Yes, I do. Loud and clear. Yes, I do.
All right.
So, like you said, we need to possibly upgrade the one for the premium version you spoke about just now.
Loud and
So
clear.
we can do our tests, we can play around with it, and then when we are comfortable, we can now, upgrade to the premium is what you're talking about now.
Exactly.
Am I correct? Okay. And then,
Yes, sir.
so it works. So it can be one, like for my organization now, it can be one,
Okay.
we can buy license for one person for one account. And let's say we're good with what we have, we can still publish for it to be accessible. My question is, does it need, we don't need to upgrade the licenses of everybody in the organization, right? That's the question I wanted to ask.
Okay. So it's two ways, right? So to use built solutions, right? For example, imagine you built a connector now to an external system, right? Now, for every user in your organization that will be leveraging or consuming that solution, one of the things that Microsoft will do is every time they need to consume that solution, they need to authenticate to use that solution, right? If you see, you would remember when I was presenting that at the point I was to create my custom connector, one of the last things I did was it authenticated my Microsoft account. So because that action is a premium action, every user in your organization that needs to interface or use that premium action would definitely also need to have that premium license. All right. For every user that will be consuming, if a user is not going to be using or consuming that, they might not need that. But if a user is going to be consuming that solution that has that premium connector or premium action, then they all need to have that set of license also.
Okay, that's fine. So I'd like to also ask, outside of my organization now, let's say, for instance, I have a website that will be, and I want to have a chatbot that will be interfacing with, visitors to the site. In that instance, how will the licensing work? Because in this case, there are so many visitors from all over chatting with the virtual assistant. So how would that work?
So the interesting thing is that the virtual agent impression is tied to your tenant, right? So Microsoft has isolated users away from the impressions. So what I mean is, you have built a bot for your organization. You probably embedded it on your website. I am external to your organization. I go to your website and I'm communicating to your bot, right? Now you don't have to license me because I am external to your organization. But every communication I am having with your bot are impressions on your own license. So all my communication, every communication that happens between an external user and your bot is an impression, right? So those impressions are what is then calculated and channeled towards your licensing model. Not necessarily that you're not licensing me as a user. You have been licensed, you have created your bot, you have embedded your bot on your website or on your platform, wherever. I come to your platform or your website, I said, hi, I want to speak to somebody. I don't have to be licensed. So the bot sees the user as a, so to say, external system that is not in the ecosystem of Microsoft. But every communication that I'm having with that bot, that impression is still going to be channeled to you as the license owner or the bot creator. Do you understand that?
Please let me
Yes.
assist there. Let me assist there. Good afternoon,
Thank you.
Adidayo. All right.
Good
So
afternoon, Olajumoke.
yeah. So thank you. So for Power Virtual Agent is actually licensed per session. So I mean not per session. So you have a number of 1,000 of session that is billable. So when's I mean the session that anybody come to your website to have with the Power Virtual Agent is calculated in sessions, so you can buy that. The truth is that for now, I do not have that off my head, what the total number of sessions you have, and then for a particular billing. But then you do not need to, just like what Ayo said, you do not need to license the people that come in to chat with the bot. But then every session that takes place with the bot, you actually have a billable costing to it, which is if you have a total number of sessions, this is a costing to it, which I guess my sales team can maybe take the conversation further with you after this call, if that is okay.
Yes, that's very fine. One last question from me. Um, so does it? I didn't notice, but does this also work with when um, Ayotunde was showing us the different APIs we can connect to? I'm just wondering, WhatsApp wasn't there, but is it one of the APIs we can connect to? And in that sense, I'm talking about the WhatsApp for business now. So let's say we have a WhatsApp for business account and we want to have, a chatbot integrated to it. I'm just wondering what possibilities there are concerning that.
Yeah, good question, sir. Thank you, sir. The answer to that would be for us to confirm if WhatsApp for Business have an open API. So if they do, then all we need to do is get the authorization access to it, and then use that to formulate our custom connector. If they don't, then we can't talk to it. However, I know that we have Trello, and Trello is more like though I've not personally tried that with Power Virtual Agent, I've tried that with other systems on Microsoft. I know we have Trello as an authentication point to WhatsApp that is currently being leveraged on for maybe things like omnichannel. But I know that also we can send so to say like an information from things like omnichannel for Dynamics to Trello. Now that you're saying it, some things are coming to my head in terms of, since Power Virtual Agent is integrated with omnichannel, and omnichannel is integrated to Trello for WhatsApp and all that. That should be a possibility, but it's not something I've tried personally, but I think it's something that could happen. So far that I know that Trello has an open API, but I don't think WhatsApp does. WhatsApp does not have, but I know Trello does, and I think WhatsApp sits on Trello currently. So that could be a way to actually integrate to WhatsApp.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Okay, so I also left on the, like I said, I just left like a snapshot of what it takes for the license requirement for the Power Virtual Agent. So you can check that up. And then also maybe I'll just give you a link to that. All right then. So pending the time, our team.
Hello, Mr.
Yes,
Ayootunde,
Mr.
please.
Smart, please. Yeah.
Okay.
Go
Okay.
ahead, sir.
All right. Okay, that's the emergency. Okay. All right. You all agree with me that it's been a productive day. We've learned a lot. Thank you so much, Mr. Ayotunde. Thank you so very much. Thank you for your question, Mr. Didayo, and also thank you our own our dear MJ. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. All right. As you can see on your screen, there are some information that I would love that you pay attention to. Please, if you have any inquiries that you want to make, as regarding Power Virtual Agent or any of the applications on that Power Platform, please do not hesitate to reach out to us at sales@hashem.com. Sales@hashem.com. You want to request a quote or you want to get to know more about what we discussed today, you can always request a one-on-one discovery session for you and your organization. And please don't forget to fill the evaluation form that Michael sent to the group. Please, we want to know how much how good we perform, and we also want to know where you want us to develop. Also, please follow us on our social media platform. It is very important because that is where you get the information that we are passing out, every now and then. For people who would be asking questions like, am I going to get the replay to this webinar? Of course you will. Just please go down to youtube.com, search for Ha-Shem Limited, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and of course, when you press the notification bell, you will be notified when we drop the replay of this webinar. All right. Quickly, let me do a public service announcement. Today is the last day of the month. That means tomorrow it's going to be a new month, and of course, that same tomorrow for Nigerians, it is a whole new era, Independence Day. So therefore, on behalf of Ha-Shem Limited, I want to say happy new month in advance to everyone, and also happy Independence Day to all Nigerians. Thank you so much for your time on this call. It's been a wonderful session. Really appreciate it. All right. See you next time. Bye.